call a Hail Mary case. It is as triangular a shape as you're going to find. The angles do not give a comforting feeling whatsoever. Anything that's leaning forward, any teeth that are posterior, you have to favor the forward lean of the anterior teeth. I'm going to go a little higher than I normally would because there is a certain amount of blockout that has to be considered for this case. And again, just because I put the blockout doesn't mean like this case is home free. This is a very, very difficult case. I mean, look at that. Aesthetically, your hands are somewhat tight. There's going to be areas where there's going to be spaces. They're unavoidable. And these spaces trap food. The best thing that we could do is try to minimize food pockets as much as we can. If you notice, no matter where I rotate it, it almost looks like two light bulbs. And light bulbs have that, wide head shape, and then it starts to thin down where the screw area is. This is almost that shape. And no matter how I angle it, you could see it here, right? You could see it here. You could see it here. It's constant. Then on top of that, these teeth are leaning buccally. So this tooth is leaning the opposite way, and these two teeth are running away from the angulation of that tooth. When this case is all said and done, your only way is to try to fit first on this side, and then hopefully have the clasp on this side follow and pass these high points. The only way that becomes even remotely possible is we have to take some of the angulation away from here. Let me give you a version of a blockout. And again, even with this blockout that I'm going to put on this model, there's still a good amount of grinding that's going to take place. You have to prepare yourself where if you're in a rush, chances are you're going to start breaking these teeth in that process. So you really want to have a lot of patience in grinding and trying to fit this without gluing the teeth a million times. The angulation is still there, but I've taken it down a couple degrees. But like I said earlier, this is a case where it's almost unavoidable to make it where there won't be any pockets that will eventually, encounter food. But this should help in reducing the amount of time in creating that path of insertion once the case it's fabricated. So I don't put any wax beyond the lines. Unfortunately, this is the area that this clasp has to end at because of the pull that we're going to get from that area. I want you to take a look at this area here. This was built up pretty aggressively because as it was before, this tooth was going straight down this way. So what would happen is, as soon as you would put the clasp over this tooth, these clasps are going to end up somewhere in the middle of the tooth. So I needed to at least get it closer to the edges as much as I can by creating this space here. One thing that can go wrong is if the path of insertion before you send it out is still difficult, you have to find a way to make it where it goes in. And if there's a certain nudge that you have to create in order for it to go in, you have to relay that to the doctor, so that way the doctor, instead of going from here to here, he or she doesn't go from here to here, where you created this to go from here to here. So if the doctor chooses to go from here to here, through his frustration, he could end up cutting clasp just to eliminate any difficulties. And then once you start eliminating clasp, then the degree of success, takes a big hit. So this is one of those cases where you have to be very patient in fitting it to the model. And then once you create a way that it fits, you should be able to remove it with relative ease. Otherwise, if you have to use an instrument to get it off the model, if you have to put it in hot water before you take it out of the model, then you have to assume that the difficulty range in the office is going to be incredible.